I feel like when I look over Christ Community's history, there's just been this heavy emphasis in the midst of our culture of living before an audience of one.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for our final conversation in our 3-part podcast series about the lead senior pastor process and position here at Christ Community. My name is Nathan Miller. I serve as the senior pastor of congregational development. And as part of that, I serve on our executive leadership team. Dela is our COO, our Chief Operating Officer. She and I serve together on that. And Lord willing, Gabe will jump into that team as well as our lead senior pastor. These are dear friends, dear colleagues. I'm so glad that we get to do this this time together, right? And have this conversation. Welcome to both of you.
Well, it's great to be here. Yeah.
Well, the three of us have known each other for a really long time, right? More 15 plus years for each of us, right? And I'd love to just share a little bit about maybe some of those early memories of when we were practically children and we met each other, or did something stupid together, or who knows? I don't know. Dale, you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I met Nathan in the early days of the Olathe campus. My family and I were there. We weren't on the launch team, but I showed up to sing in the choir one Sunday and saw this very young pastor and his very pregnant wife sitting on the front row, and said, "This is where we belong." So it has been so fun over the years, Nathan, to watch you grow as a pastor, as a dad, as a colleague, as a friend. We've done a lot in those first couple years at Olathe.
I love that. I love that. I would have said the same memory for you guys. When you and Dwayne showed up in those early days, I mean, church planting, right? Trying to get the Olathe campus started was really hard. And to have such incredible people show up in those early days and volunteer, right? At that point, it was simply a volunteer situation. And you and Dwayne both just jumped right in. And then obviously you've been on staff and in a variety of roles. We've just worked together in so many different ways. And Dela, I'm so grateful that you're part of the executive team. It's just been a blast since you joined. And yeah,
Great honor.
yeah.
Yeah.
How about what do you remember about Gabe?
Yeah, so in those early days, Gabe came and he was just another resident because we had like 2 residents every June. Every June we got
Just
2
another
people.
resident. That's right. It makes sense.
But what I remember so vividly is we participated in a service for Gabe's infant son, Judah. And I got a little glimpse into Gabe's heart in that moment, and just what a remarkable person you are, as we had the privilege of walking through that season with you. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Well, let me jump in with you, and then we'll let you go on.
Okay.
Each of us. But so obviously, Gabe, like I remember, you and Allie, applying for the residency and, the discovery weekend, all these things that we do. But my biggest early memory of you, I was on sabbatical, actually, my first sabbatical, and I was driving through Georgia, and Tom called, which on sabbatical, it's either going to be really good news or really bad news, right? So I remember I was in Georgia, right? It's like, oh my gosh, Tom's calling. So of course I answered, and at that point I'm the campus pastor at Olathe. Bill is the campus pastor downtown, getting that started, and Tom just launches into this story of this Brookside campus and this incredible generosity, and we're going to start this thing. And instantly I'm like, okay, well, who's going to lead this? Because there's this important camaraderie among campus pastors, and who's going to be kind of this the buddy with us, with Bill and me. And then Tom explained how Bill was going to move to Brookside, which just seemed perfect. And then obviously you, who are already serving as a resident downtown, stepping into leadership there. It all worked out so incredibly well, and just seeing God's provision, right, in those early moments. And obviously we could tell a lot of more stories since then, but we won't, not today. But I love that, Gabe.
Oh, that's a sweet memory.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, when Tom does call you on sabbatical,
You answer that phone.
that's it. You don't let that go to voicemail. For me, when did I meet you both first? Actually, so I was going to go to our discovery weekend. So when Allie and we weren't even married yet, and we came in, and I have a hard time remembering, but I know it was only for a brief second, but it's just one of those memories that makes me smile. I think we were still doing barely ETOM, or we just finished
Could be.
ETOM, because the screen
Yeah.
was up and then the wall was behind. And I still remember Allie and I were talking, because we're, discerning, what is Christ Community? Are we going to come here? And your your lack of pretense and your utter authenticity and your joy in welcoming us in, we didn't know a lot about what it was, but we knew Nathan was a really great guy, like instantly. And so that was a really warming kind of memory and indicator of this is the place we'd love to serve, not just because of what's happening, but who's on the front lines doing it. And so
That's fun.
that was a really sweet, and also Etom. Who doesn't love a little Etom?
So, I mean, so those of you who don't know, for like 1 minute, as a multi-site church, we did ETOM, which so we were a video venue. Tom was on video. Again, it lasted about a minute and a half. I don't know, maybe, was it even a year? I don't remember. It was not long. We realized very quickly that was not for us, but you came anyway.
I did.
So,
Well, mainly because of the humility and the beauty of Christ's community, where you're discerning, you're already at that point where you're thinking, I don't think this is the
I
right.
don't know if this is working.
But the fact that we could own like a level of what doesn't work versus just push through was beautiful. And you and that moment. Interestingly enough, sometimes when you try to wipe the dust off your memory banks, I went to my email, like when was the first time? And one of the first memories I have, at least in my email bank, is Dela Beebe inviting me to be her Facebook friend in December, like right after I'd been a resident. And I was like, that's super cool. So our Facebook friend birthday is December 31st. So just so you know, but I do remember, and then I went and looked at my residency schedule. You're on day 2. It was you and John Rich.
Would be.
You were in the accounting department, and you were so kind. You were helping me understand how to do expenses. And in those early days, you'd be like, Gabe, you forgot another receipt. We need to have a conversation. Or the early days of having a credit card. I mean, all the things like a church credit card, not my personal one. That's not how close we were yet. But the dynamics of how do you navigate? And you were always so gracious and so aware. And it was always one of those great comforts to know that if I forgot something, Dela would have a gentle but clear conversation with me about what was next. So those are some of my earliest memories of meeting you. Yes.
Great. Well, what you don't know is that when I wanted a cool, fun restaurant to go to, I would go look at your expense reports. These are all cool places in the town. Friends are coming. Where should we go? Let's go see where Gabe's been.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's really fun.
Good stuff. Good memories, you guys. And again, we've could do this for hours. Like at this point we've had a lot of memories, right? A lot of things that we've been doing as we served Jesus together and seen a lot, been a part of a lot together. And this crucial moment right now, right, of transition, what stands out as you reflect upon that history? Any key memories that are like shape us for who we are as we step into the future, this unknown future?
I think, and I know it's so core to Christ Community is why it stood out, is I feel like when I look over Christ Community's history, there's just been this heavy emphasis in the midst of our culture of living before an audience of one. Now, what does that mean and what does it look like? It's meant that we have stayed true to our mission and not been a very fad-oriented church.
Right.
Like there's been, when you're kind of in this seat, you get to see, or in various pastoral roles and on the staff team, there are different church fads that roll through, whether it's simple church or micro church or online church. Like there's all these different movements that gather a lot of energy, but Christ Community's been so central and has known who she is, such that when those fads come and then when they go, Christ Community has been who she's been, such that when opportunities come, we've been able to leverage them in big ways, whether they come to us like the Brookside campus, or we go to them when it was 2 buildings at the same time, the downtown campus and the Shawnee campus, which was we're going to step out. It wasn't a come to us. It was, we need to go to that. And the clarity and the commitment, because of who we are and because of who we lived before and that consistent mission, that's been a crucial component to our history. It's been really encouraging to me.
Yeah. Well, I love that too. Like we haven't been a fad church. We haven't been a hip church. And frankly, we couldn't be if we tried. Nobody's gonna accuse us of that. But I love that. I don't want to be a fad church.
Right.
I don't want to be a hip church. I want to be a faithful church. Right.
I mean, we'll be cool if we can,
Well,
but we're not going to try.
We can't.
So, okay.
That's
It's the realism. That's right. That's right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even related to that, what I was thinking is how beautiful it is to be working with a team that's all, we use the phrase, rowing in the same direction. You know, even the last couple of years, Nathan and I have worked more closely together, and we've had high five moments, and we've had some gut wrenching moments. And yet, through it all, to be part of this group of people who are committed to Jesus and committed to all working together to move the mission forward, it's just beautiful, and it gives me such great hope. It's encouraging to look back, and it's excitement to look forward and to know that this team is just working together so beautifully.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've seen those moments. You probably remember the morning when I came in and laid down on the floor of your office. Yeah. Because it just was, that's where I was at that point. And, you know, as hard as that is, I've so treasure the fact, I mean, I've seen both of you in some of the highest mountains, right? And in some of the lowest valleys. And you've seen that for me. And I just have such a deep respect for your character, both of you, your wisdom, your courage, your heart for Jesus, and for people, like tenderness, even in those spaces as leaders, which can be so hard. And we've seen that, right? We've had it tested, and it's just been beautiful. I love that I get to do that and see that with both of you.
Well, and the feeling's mutual, Nate, and we've seen that in you, and we love you for that. So
Thanks. One of the things we do every Monday as a campus pastor team, executive team, and as well as our residents, every Monday we meet together at our multi-site office. And part of one of those meetings, we take just a few minutes to talk about how we've seen God at work in the past week. And so each of the campus pastors get a chance to share just a couple minutes how we've seen God at work. It's kind of like our Monday morning pep talk, right? Because we all need that from time to time. And so obviously this is a big moment for us as a church. And so as you both consider this moment in history for us, where do you see God at work? What's encouraging you? What's exciting to you? What's hopeful for you?
I'm just so hopeful for the future in general. It's so exciting. We have such an amazing staff all the way around. And when I think about what it could be like for Gabe to be a part of this team in the just pass the baton moment, it's just so exciting to think about working with this group of people. Even as I'm newer in my role, and the way the campus pastor team just welcomed me in, it could have been a super awkward thing. First female in this group of guys, and it just felt so natural because this is such an amazing group of leaders to work with, and I'm so excited about what is ahead for all of us.
Well, and you've entered in so seamlessly.
oh my gosh, yeah.
We just absolutely love it. Absolutely. We love your presence, your wisdom. We love that you're with us. It's just been so much fun.
To the trust.
It's been exceptional to see how every level of the organization and the church where you find yourself, like what is whispered in the background and shouted out front that's awesome because of your leadership. So couldn't be more thrilled about you. I think one way I've seen God at work, you know, where is God at work? I was thinking, and I know I'm going to start to sound like a resounding kind of drum, but hopefully not a gong when I think of 1 Corinthians. But the idea of God is always at work in his mission. And if we're going to see him anywhere, we've got to see him in our mission to be a caring family of multiplying disciples, influencing our community and world for Jesus Christ. So how have I seen God at work? Well, as we're going through these conversations around succession, the mission's still going forward in beautiful ways. Like
That's right.
somebody this last Sunday had a flat tire, and there's like 10 people. You don't need 10 people to change a flat tire, but there are 10 people from church out there helping them change a flat tire because we're a caring family. We talk about multiplying disciples. Shawnee in June was jam-packed. I mean, standing room because of baptisms, because people are getting to know Jesus and growing in their walk with Jesus. And then when it comes to influencing our community and world for Jesus Christ, we've got people doing good work well done across the city. People, maybe in the more traditional sense, are still doing trips to places like Thailand to proclaim the good news of Jesus. And then we're also sending doctors to Texas because they're moving jobs. And it's not just because they've moved jobs, but God is calling them through their work to have a faithful presence in this next practice. And so we're seeing all of the mission is continuing to go forward. And when we see that, that's God at work.
All right, well, let's dream a little bit. Not in the visionary sense, right? We don't visionary dream at Christ Community, but we have hopeful expectation, right? That Christ Community's best days are still ahead of us. And we believe that, we trust that, because we know who God is, right? And we expect God. In fact, that's one of our cultural habits as a staff. We have these 5 sort of values, principles that we talk about a whole lot as a staff, truly believe in. And the very first one is we expect God, right? We expect God. That's who we are. That's what we do as a church. Is how we lead in these spaces. And so how are each of you expecting God in this moment as you think about the future, as you pray about the future? How are you expecting God? Dela, why don't we start with you?
I think we've seen God work in so many amazing ways to just get us to this moment. And if we look at the way Tom has led over the years, and it's never been about Tom. You said that earlier. It's never been about Tom. And the way God prepared this process 37 years ago and got us to this moment where we are given this amazing responsibility and huge stewardship to carry this forward into the new era. And I just expect God to continue to work. We've seen him work. We can point to the past and look and see the ways he's gotten us all here. Each one of us has had a very different path to get to this place. And I think looking historically at what we've seen God do gives me great hope and great expectation for what lies ahead. I'm excited to see what he's going to do, because I have no idea.
That's right.
It's great.
That's right. Yeah, he loves this church. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Gabe, how about you?
I think this whole process, it's really fascinating. In the same way that God's faithfulness has not been determined by any one person, this process's success isn't determined by any one person. And actually, this process isn't a crisis, and it's not merely a pragmatic transition. Like, well, we get older, so someone else needs to step in. This is the human cycle. I think what has been really inspiring for me is to think of this as a formational opportunity for each one of us, for the whole church, to remember again that God is on the throne, not any one human being. And kind of expecting in the midst of this, like not as or any sort of fear, but deep hope of what God's going to do in each one of us through this process. Like I hope that I have greater trust in God rather than trust in human beings. I mean, I want to trust humans and I trust you, but
Sure, yeah.
at the end of the day, that's actually predicated on my trust with God. And I hope that we as a church go through this process and have a greater trust in God. I hope that we have an expanded vision of God's beauty in the midst of this. You know, you think of, and I'm not saying any comparisons here, but more just looking through historical movements where you go Moses to Joshua. What's so fascinating about that story is that God does beautiful things for Joshua, even though he saw them done for Moses, and he does them for Israel in these different generations.
That's right.
Because we need fresh experiences of him. We need fresh visions of his beauty and his wonder and how he's continuing to work in the world. And he's not just an idea, but he's a person who loves his church. And so I'm excited to see how we as a whole church are going to experience God, both in consistent ways with his character, but fresh ways for us. And I'm excited too in how this is going to be a catalyst for everyone, no matter their seat at Christ Community, no matter whether they're paid to be good, as Tom always says, or we're contributing in many ways as a congregant. Like, this is an opportunity for all of us to become deeper people with Jesus. And like the kinds of people, this is where I get excited, is these deeper people who aren't necessarily taking the world by force. There's a lot of this language of force. We're not taking the world by force, but we change the world because of who we are and whose we are.
That's right.
Belonging to Jesus and becoming where the world is either wooed to who we are. This is Alan Kreider. This is the patient ferment of the early church, where people are saying, you're different.
That's right.
Not you're forcing me to be, you're different. And that's really beautiful. And I want to know why, and I want to know who, so that we can maybe woo more people to know Jesus. So I'm really excited about that, as well as, or frankly, just make the world uncomfortable with its evil, even if they're not wooed to Jesus. And that is also faithful presence. So in the midst of all of this is an opportunity, not for just a reorg, but really a remembering of Jesus and him being on his throne. And I'm excited to see what that does for us as a church.
Yeah. Well, and it's his church.
That's it.
It's his church.
That's it.
And he has a track record of using ordinary, unspectacular.
That's exactly right.
Including us.
Including us.
And that's what's so beautiful. And that's what gives me such hopeful expectation. Is, you know, again, and we've said this, but this is who we are. This church has never been about one person, that's right, Jesus. It's never been built on a personality or a grand vision of the future or a celebrity kind of preacher, even if we did the E-Tom thing
We
for like
tried.
2 minutes. It didn't, wasn't us, right? It wasn't what we were doing. And yet God has used us, right? And that gets me really excited. And I just like even want to say, like, Tom, he's probably listening. I assume he's listening or watching. Tom, we are so grateful that you have never made this church about you. Amen. And the legacy of humility and shared leadership that you have handed down is so incredible, and we're just so grateful. And that is the legacy that we get to walk in. We've been shaped by that so deeply, and that's who we are. This is not Tom's church. That's right. It's not going to be Gabe's church,
Nope.
or our church, right? This is about Jesus and about His Word and what He can do in and through His people. And then with that, right? I'm also like the expectation. It's the team, right? And Thomas talked about this. We've talked about this.
Yes.
I am so excited to the possibility of working with you, like this team here. I love you both so much. That gets me forward. As I think about our campus pastors, I mean,
Come on.
such an incredible group. I can't imagine a better five, right? To serve and to lead together our amazing staff, and then of course our congregation, right? And we love our congregation. We love you, church, so much, and are grateful that we get to do this together. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Love you, Nathan.
Yeah, love you too. Love you too. Well, Dela, Gabe, thanks for joining us, right, for this conversation, right? Such an awkward way to end. But I love that we get to do this. I love that we get to have these conversations. Again, I have the deepest respect for both of you. I just got back from sabbatical. You guys know that. You don't know that. Just got back from sabbatical. And then one of the things I've said to folks is like the best part of this work is the people we get to do it with. And that's true in this room. That's true in so many other rooms that we get to serve, and certainly true of the congregation. So congregation, church, thanks for taking this time to listen, to invest this deeply. This is an important process. And so wrestle with us, come with us, ask your questions with us, and trust God with this. And so on behalf of me, of Gabe, Dela, our entire staff, we just want to say, church, we love you.